Heyo, my name is Chupacabra, and today we're going to be play-by-playing the ninth race of the NAFCAR season, Field of Dreams. We're going to go over the NAFCAR track facts along with the share codes, and then I'm going to talk you through the track, just giving you different lines, tips, tricks, tire wear, fun track information, and things like that. Alrighty, let's jump right on in. The name of this track is the Field of Dreams, and the reason why it's called the Field of Dreams is because this is one of the few night races that take place at night, and 99.9% of the time you're going to be racing through a field. So, just a little fun fact. The Field of Dreams have 3 share codes, and we'll circle around and discuss these share codes here after the NAFCAR track facts. The track style is circuit, and we're going to make 6 laps around it today. The track motif is cross-country. 100% of this course is done on cross-country terrain. The starting location is Las Granjas, and the entire course length is 2.5 miles. The entire scheduled racing distance will be 15 miles or 6 laps. Tire wear is rated a 3 out of 5, which means you should use anywhere between 50 and 70% of your tires, and we'll talk a lot about this during the course of the race. Damage wear is rated a 2 out of 5, which means you can expect to accrue some light damage throughout the course of the event, and once again we'll discuss this. AI bots are rated a 5 out of 5, which means they handled this track perfectly. This track should take you about 8 minutes to complete, and with all these things in consideration, we give this course a difficulty rating and it's rated a 1 out of 5, which means it should be easy to most Forza Horizon 5 players. Alrighty, let's talk about the share codes. For this track, it doesn't matter whether you have damage on or off, what matters is the type of car you're driving. If you're using an A-Class off-road vehicle, go ahead and use that share code in brackets. This is the official NAFCAR race we use throughout the entire season. This is also one of only 2 A-Class events. If you're using any other car class or car type, go ahead and use the other 2 share codes. The share codes in stars is the full event, whereas the share code in pound sign is just a 2-lap sampler. Wonderful. Let's jump right into the play-by-play version of the Field of Dreams. Alrighty, so this is the Field of Dreams, and it's the 9th race of the NAFCAR season. This is one of only 2 pure cross-country races, and this is also one of only 2 A-Class races. For this track, we'll be using A-Class off-road vehicles. The checkpoints on this course are extremely wide, which gives this track multiple lanes to race in. Our last race was the City Escape, and that was a very narrow city race with a lot of walls on either side, and if you made any mistake, it was going to totally ruin your day. With a track like this, you don't have to really worry about that too much. For racing this track, there are essentially 2 rules of thought. The first rule is basically go as fast as you can, slide around the turns, and keep your car right at that fine edge of control and stability, and then just spinning out. The second way around this track is taking it easy, going a little slower, and really hugging the turns, minimizing the distance between each checkpoint. I prefer going as fast as I can around each of these turns and sliding, keeping that car right on the fine edge. My friend who test runs a lot of these with me, he prefers something that's a little slower and more in line with a typical race. So for this play-by-play video, I'll run 5 laps the way I normally like to race, and then my final lap I'll race how he likes. And really, both of them are just as effective. It's all dependent upon how you build your car and how you want to tackle this 2.5 mile track. So let's take a lap around this track. This is the start-finish line, and it's on this paved road area. We're going to come out of this little section, and we're straight in open field. This entire track will be done on completely open field. So now, as I said, I prefer method 1. I like to drift around these turns, getting the most speed out of my car as possible. I'm going to come down this downhill section, and I'm just going to slide my way through those checkpoints. Now this little hump right here is a pretty cool little hump. You can either choose to go up and over the hump, or you can kind of slide around the hump, and I alternate that part of the track depending upon where my car is pointed. What I'm trying to do is keep as much speed in my car as possible, hanging around that 140 mile an hour mark. Come around this turn right here, and kind of just some straight line speed. Hit this little hump right here, fly through the air a little bit. It's important when you fly through the air that you really manage where you're going to land, because you can do some damage to your car that way, which is why this course is rated at a 2 out of 5. You can expect to accrue some slight damage throughout the course of the event. I'm just kind of drifting through these turns, once again trying to keep as much speed in my car as possible. I hit the brake, slow down here. This is the tightest turn of the track, and this is going to set you back up for that main start-finish line area. Back to the start-finish line area, you have to watch out for this transition. Sometimes the car doesn't like to grip to the road, and you'll end up sliding up and hitting the wall, as I kind of almost did there. So let's talk about the Field of Dreams and why it's built the way it is. First of all, I gotta start by saying this. I am not really a huge fan of the cross-country races in Forza Horizon 5, and a lot of that is because of continuity. When you're racing on cross-country, such as open field like this, you can race the same spot 10 times, and 7 out of those 10 times, you'll have no problem. But 3 out of those 10 times, you can take the same exact path, the same exact way, and for whatever reason, it might not work out for you. Whether your car jerks or you slide a little more than what you were supposed to, it's just not really a consistent experience you get with things like dirt road and paved road racing. And I find that incredibly annoying. But cross-country racing is a big part of Forza. And even though I might not like it, there are people out there who love and prefer cross-country racing above everything else. So it wouldn't be right of me to just exclude cross-country races from the circuit and schedule. But I also have to do it in a way that RNG isn't involved. So step 1 was to find an area on the map which didn't have a lot of bumps or random little hitches that could mess up your car, even though you're doing the correct thing. The second thing was to have wide checkpoints. I wanted to come up with 2 cross-country styles, one that involved drifting around turns and another one that was a little more technical. This first cross-country event is modeled after the crop circle, in which you spend the entire time essentially drifting around a dirt road circle. The cross-country event later on in the season will be very technical with narrow checkpoints and tight turns, more in line with a typical Forza Horizon 5 NAFCAR race. So now that we got both cross-country events out of the way a little bit, let's talk about tire wear in this track specifically. Tire wear is rated a 3 out of 5, which means you should expect to use anywhere between 50 and 70% of your tires. And this is basically comes down to how, once again, you want to race this track. If you're going to be doing a lot of drifting and high speed around these turns, you're going to experience more tire wear from the driver who's going to take their time and methodically make their way throughout each of these checkpoints. Now in this track, you really don't feel the tire wear too much, as you're really not on road or anything. Most of the time you're just sliding through field, and really it doesn't matter whether you have 0% or 50% on your tires. 9 out of 10 times it's gonna be the same. Where it does matter though, as I said, is this transition coming to the start-finish line section. Ideally, in a perfect race, you want to enter this section and basically use it as one giant turn. That's what's going to give you the most speed through these first few checkpoints of the track. So I'm trying to use that speed to drift my way through all these checkpoints. You notice this 3 or 4 checkpoints here is just one giant turn. And I'm letting the car go wherever it feels like it needs to go. As I said, when you do the drift method, it's all about just keeping that speed in your vehicle. Notice how this part of the track has a lot of banking. This part of the track, it's really good to take the shortest way around these checkpoints, so always hugging the inside curve. But you can use the upper part of the banking to maintain a higher speed. And once again, that's basically all dependent upon how you built your car and how you want to race this track. Let's spend a few seconds talking about this upcoming turn. This turn is a super wide, but it's really not a giant turn. What I like to do is I like to try to slide my way around from cement to cement around that turn. While I'm beginning to make that turn, while I slide, I try to make sure that while sliding, my tires end up on the cement, and what that's going to do is help point my car. And you notice what it also does is skyrocket my tire temperature. The final lap here, and then we're going to use method B. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my time coming through the track and really pay attention to how I'm turning and where I'm turning my car. You notice I'm not going as fast off the get-go, and that's because I'm trying to get ready for these turns. I want to slow down a little bit and hug each of these checkpoints. I want to make this track as short as possible. As you can see, I'm maintaining a lower speed, but I'm able to put the car exactly where I want. I'm going to hit these little jumps up here. I'm going to slide down there to give me a little more speed, and then I'm going to make this part of the track as short as possible by hugging the inside line. For this part of the track, we're doing roughly the same amount of speed, and I'm going to slow way down and make sure, once again, I make this turn as small as possible. As you can see, that's where you make time. The bigger the arc, the faster you can go. The slower the arc, the less distance, the slower you go. But in the end, it all washes out to be the exact same. I'm going to make it very small, making it turn as small as possible coming through here. I'm trying to cut off as much of the track as possible. Come up through here, through this downhill. I'm going to slow it way down. I'm going to slow down a lot. You notice I'm a lot slower coming through here than I was before. We're going to try to build speed back up, and we're going to get to the start-finish line here. And that is the Field of Dreams. So, as you all saw, there's two very distinct racing lines. Depending on how you want to tackle the track and how you want to build your A-class off-road will dictate how exactly you will race and ultimately beat the track. Alright, well that's all I have for this video. Thank you everybody for tuning in and hanging out with me for a few minutes. My next video will be the Meteor, and it'll be another play-by-play, and then I'm going to do a compilation video, and I'm going to try some new things in that, and then we're going to release the next 5 tracks in the NAFCAR schedule, races 11 through 15, and these are some of the best tracks in the entire league. Thank you everybody for their support. I really appreciate the time. Have a great evening, night, morning, day.